Coming to you live from the MediaPlex in downtown Windsor, this is a presentation of St. Clair College Journalism.
Good evening, I'm Ashley Ann Mentley, and you're watching MediaPlex News Now. Drug addiction is a serious problem that can be incredibly difficult to overcome. Sean Garrity looked into addictions and met a young woman who has overcome them.
Being dependent on drugs can seem impossible to stop. A Windsorite defied those odds because she was on the brink of death if she did not quit. Some people see bridges as a chance to leave. One woman saw a bridge as a different way to escape.
I really had a desire to jump off that bridge. I just wanted to end the nightmare that I had been living. I was a junkie, I was a prostitute, I was a high school dropout, I was a crackhead, I was a thief. I was just broken.
Jade Piper from Halifax knew if she didn't leave the drug life and come to Windsor, she might not ever stop using.
I was doing pretty much anything and everything, but my drugs of choice were mainly crack cocaine and opiates. So hydromorphine, pretty much synthetic heroin. And I was injecting. I had been injecting drugs for about 2.5 years.
To pay for narcotics, Piper says she resorted to prostitution. She brought me to the local grocery store and explained what else she was doing to support her habit.
Well, myself and whoever I was with, we would just kind of walk into a store much like this one and know what we were going for already. We would already have like buyers lined up for it, and we just kind of walk in, fill up either canvas bags or shopping carts with merchandise and walk out as quickly as possible.
After being fed up with her current situation, she arrived in Windsor and made a promise to herself that it was time to change. It was time to rebuild that bridge she almost jumped off of.
I got in contact with the intake coordinator at the Windsor Life Center, and I made the commitment to enter the program, and I signed up for a 12-month residential faith-based drug and alcohol treatment program.
The Windsor Life Center, which is located directly behind the Windsor Christian Fellowship, is what Piper says started her road to recovery.
Pretty evident that she was going to have some struggles. She didn't like authority, she didn't like being told what she could and couldn't do, but she knew that she wanted to get clean.
Founder of Windsor Life, Catherine Shimatero, says the program has tripled its intake.
So we're up in our numbers. It doesn't sound like a lot of numbers, but it's a lot of work involved in working with the women with the types of problems that they have. We're getting women mostly from the streets, from the sex trade, out of jail.
Piper's going on 2 years of sobriety, and her hard work has paid off. She's landed a position at the Windsor Life Center, and just recently, her twin sister has joined the program, and she's doing great also.
Reporter Rhiannon Lotz is on the corner of University and Victoria and has an early weather update for us. Rhiannon, what's it like out there?
Compared to the lion of February, March came in like a lamb. However, the temperatures for the month have been slightly lower than the average of 10 degrees. It's currently 7 degrees outside, which is the high for the day. The low is expected to be -3. Stay tuned for our 3-day forecast later in the show. Ashley Ann?
Members of the Royal Canadian Legion are fighting a battle different than what they're used to. Members of Branch 255 are now in a war to keep the location open. Reporter Sean Frame tells us more.
The Riverside Royal Canadian Legion Branch 255 is struggling to stay open, but it is not going down without a fight. The branch has seen attrition in the past 20 years. From a once 2,000-strong membership, it now has roughly 320 members. The branch is in major need of repairs but does not have the income to cover these costs. Former Branch 255 President Dennis Holmes says the income isn't nearly enough to maintain the building.
There may be 50 members in here at any given time, and it just isn't sufficient to outweigh the costs, especially the costs that we can't control, like your insurance, your hydro, taxes. We just can't accommodate it anymore.
Branch 255 bartender Cody Thompson says if the branch were to close, a lot of members would be heartbroken.
People have poured their heart and soul in this place, and it's been a staple in the Riverside community for 80 years now. So to see it close and disappear would be sad to a lot of people.
The Legion currently has a crowdfunding site at www.gofundme.com/Riverside Legion. So far, the branch has raised over $1,200 towards their $200,000 goal. I'm Sean Frame reporting for MediaPlex News Now.
An icy winter has lake levels on the rise, and that's not necessarily a good thing. Mandy Matthews took a look at the drawbacks and brings you the story.
A little extra water in a huge lake may not seem like a big deal to most, but in Lakeshore, it is an awakening experience.
He lost his, and there's a whole bunch of those piles of ice that are gone. When that stuff starts to move, nothing stops it.
The Great Lake waters are ranging from 25 to 50 centimeters above what they were this time last year. But predicting lake level conditions is not an exact science, says Windsor Port Authority CEO David Cree.
Depend on the amount of rain we get this spring, how quickly the snow and ice melts up in the northern area, Lake Superior in particular.
Current water levels have risen to higher than 175 meters. 2 years ago, the average levels almost hit a dangerous low for cargo shipping.
Water. So the parkway would have been more expensive, which obviously trickles down into people's taxes. We would have had negative environmental effects, and so those are the kinds of things you see happen if shipping were to be, for whatever reason, unavailable.
Although it doesn't look like it here at the Detroit River, Lake St. Clair's water levels have risen marginally by 1.5% since March 1st. Now, this is nothing to be concerned about, the Windsor Port Authority says, for homeowners or boaters.
I'm concerned I can't get my boat in and out. I like the water levels high. It's more dangerous. Like just yesterday, the ice started to move, almost took my dock out because the lake levels are higher now.
The shipping season will be starting the first week of April as opposed to the usual last week of March. As for Mark Waters, he'll be waiting till the end of May to start boating.
It sure is neat to watch it.
Mandy Matthews, MediaPlex News Now.
Sean Preble is our UK correspondent and is also an international student at the University of Kent. As such, he's become a student ambassador for Canada and shows us what it's like.
Welcome back to another edition of the MediaPlex British Beat and to the Canterbury campus of the University of Kent. I'm Sean Preble, and late last year I was lucky enough to find out I would be receiving one of the postgrad scholarships for international students. Being a postgrad scholar means that I have to represent the university at different functions, and one of these functions is later today when I will be meeting with the Mayor of Canterbury. So I thought I'd take you all along with me to see what the Guildhall is like, which is a place of both justice and politics, and to find out what it's like to be a mayor of a city in the United Kingdom. So join me to see what it's all about. The Guildhall has been around since at least the 14th century, originally as the Holy Cross Church. Since then, the church has seen many alterations, with the biggest occurring in 1972, when it was donated to the people of Canterbury. Fixtures and fittings were given to other churches, and the church saw refurbishment in 1978, when it was officially opened by Prince Charles as the Guildhall, a place used by Canterbury Council. It is the place where city councillors hold council meetings and where Lord Mayors are sworn in. While Lord Mayor Ann Taylor was unable to make the event due to illness, we did learn about her position and that of the Sheriff, which supports the Mayor, from Canterbury Sheriff Tony Austin.
Go to a lot of voluntary activities, fates, things that people have, and in fact we go to anybody that actually asks us to be involved with their community activity, and we go there and help them.
The Lord and Sheriff, unlike the mayors of Windsor and Essex County, are elected for a year internally by the councillors and serve in a ceremonial position, attending events and opening festivals instead of dealing with administrative council duties. An interesting thing to note about the Lord Mayor of Canterbury is that being named a Lord Mayor is a rare honour, with only 23 cities in England having a mayor with this title. The Guildhall also houses several historical artifacts still used in council today, including the Bergmote horn used during the reign of Henry II in 1155 to summon bailiffs to the citizens' court, a 400-year-old sword to be borne by the sword-bearer of the city, the civic mace, which has symbolized royal authority since 1681, as well as the city's arms dating back to 1380. While here, we were also able to get photos with the sword and mace and deputy mayor before we posed for one last photo outside. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of the MediaPlex British Beat. I hope all of you enjoyed the trip to the Guildhall and learned just as much as I did about the position of mayor here in the United Kingdom. Be sure to stay tuned for the next edition when I'll be taking you on one last trip to London for what looks to be the final edition of the MediaPlex British Beat. Until then, I'm Sean Preble reporting from Canterbury, England, back to the MediaPlex.
Style File is an original segment that reporter Alana Wills and I have created for the MediaPlex. Let's take a look at what's new in the fashion world this week.
Welcome back to the Style File.
We hope you had a great March break. I'm Ashley Ann Mentley.
And I'm Alana Wills.
The weather is slowly but surely getting better, and that means it's almost time for the best part of the year. Spring fashion.
New York Fashion Week just wrapped up, and we got a glimpse of the hottest trends we'll be seeing this season.
So today we're going to tell you about some of our favorite trends for the year.
So let's start with you, Ashley. What trends will we see you rocking this season?
Well, there are definitely quite a few great hair and makeup trends that I'm a big fan of. One of them is the ever classic braid, but this year it's all about being loose and messy. Whether it's a French braid straight down your back or one that comes over the shoulder, the less perfect it is, the better. Another trend that I've been following is the natural air-dried wave. We're getting further away from perfect curls created with a curling wand and headed a lot more towards a natural, relaxed-looking wave. The best way to style either of these looks is by using mousse. You scrunch it into the bottom and then work your way up. If you're looking for more volume, you'd want to consider drying your hair with the diffusing attachment on your blow dryer.
Well, I'm on board for any trend that gives me an excuse to have messy hair.
Me too. So what about you? What trends can we see you in this season?
Well, as far as fashion goes, last year was all about the 90s. But this year, it's all about fringe and flare. That's right, the 1970s. Inspiration from this decade took over the runways, and it's one of this year's biggest trends. From Saturday Night Fever to Bohemian Rhapsody. This trend is all about variety, having fun, and being bold. To rock this trend, start with bright colors and eye-catching floral patterns. And say goodbye to your skinny jeans because wide-legged pants are officially back in style. For more of the hippie look, grab a loose-fitting blouse and pair it with your favorite denim. And it wouldn't be the 70s without some fringe. An extremely popular look this year that can be worn subtly or in bolder ways. But bonus points if you can get some suede in there too. And lastly, channel your inner American hustle with lots of gold and sparkle. And the year's other big trend, the jumpsuit.
You must be happy. That sounds like a lot of your favorite things.
I cannot wait.
Well, when it comes to makeup, one trend that seems to have crossed over from winter is a slightly darker lipstick. Strong plum and berry colors are definitely still in, which is a great way to transition from your winter makeup routine. As far as eyes go, there are two trends that I'm following right now. One that's a basic neutral eye. Natural shades of brown and tan with very little or no eyeliner are in. This definitely complements the more natural hairstyles that we're seeing this year too. If you're looking for a little more color though, blue eyeshadow is back in as well. There are various ways to include a pop of turquoise, whether it be with your liner or the shadow itself. Just make sure you don't overdo it.
And lastly, we can't forget about the nails. This year it's all about the negative space manicure. The idea behind this one is bringing cutouts from your clothes to your nails. I achieved my look by simply placing a thin piece of tape on my bare nails and then painting on top over it.
Looks great.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have for today.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We hope you enjoyed our look into the hottest trends of spring 2015.
Make sure you join us next time when Alana and I go and check out the fashion design program at St. Clair College.
Can't wait for that one. Take care, stay styling.
Let's go back outside where our weather specialist is enjoying a break from the rain we had earlier. What's happening now, Ree?
Well, it's currently cool and the sun is just starting to go down. As for the rest of the week, we can enjoy some temperatures in the double digits. Tomorrow will be mostly sunny with a high of 11 and a low of -3. On Thursday, there's a chance of rain, but we'll have a whopping high of 20, and the low will be 4. Friday may also be rainy, but the high will be 10 and the low will be 1. Back to you, Ashley Ann.
The MediaPlex's nerd community has put together another episode of Entertainment Geekly. Rhiannon, Ryan, and Christian fill us in on the world of pop culture.
Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and mutant kind. I'm Ryan Adams.
I'm Rhiannon Lotz.
I'm Christian Bouchard, and you're watching Entertainment Geekly, Episode 2, Attack of the Microphones.
For today, we have news from all corners of the galaxy, including an Alien Invasion sequel, as well as the lowdown on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But first, let's go to Christian so he can tell us about being Batman.
Sorry folks, but you're just gonna have to wait a tad bit longer to become Batman. Rocksteady Studios announced via the Batman Arkham Twitter page that the game's release date has been delayed by the publisher for the second time. It was originally scheduled for the release date to be in October of 2015, but has since been moved to June 23rd of 2015. However, as a reward for being patient, and to make the wait even more worthwhile, Rocksteady has released a new gameplay video. The new video shows 7 minutes of gameplay and sees the Caped Crusader pursuing an armored vehicle with suspicions to Scarecrow. So, is the wait to Batman gonna be worth it? Rhiannon, what do you think?
The game looks amazing, so I think it will definitely be worth it. In the meantime, geeks can celebrate Independence Day. No, not the holiday, but the epic sci-fi classic. Fans of the original 1996 movie can rejoice, because a sequel to Independence Day is in the works. It is scheduled to be released in theaters on June 24, 2016. According to CinemaBlend, the title of the new film will be ID Forever, and Earth will face a second alien invasion 20 years after the first. However, fans be warned because the script details may still change. It was just announced that Vivica A. Fox will reprise her role, as will Bill Pullman and Jeff Goldblum. They'll be joined by new cast members Charlotte Gainsbourg, Jesse Usher, and Liam Hemsworth. Unfortunately, Will Smith has stated that he will not be returning in the sequel, but hopefully it will be as kick-butt and thrilling without him.
With 10 movies, including Iron Man and last summer's surprise hit Guardians of the Galaxy, there is no denying the sheer power of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. After the studio announced 11 more films would be joining the franchise, I took a look at some recent updates regarding those movies. First, Captain Marvel will be the first female-led solo film for Marvel Studios, and it looks like they may have found their leading lady. According to Latino Review, Marvel has in fact cast the heroine, but has not yet revealed her name. We may see her introduced in an upcoming Marvel film, possibly in a post-credits scene. Maybe she'll join our heroes for another round of shawarma. Now, it has been known for some time that Joss Whedon, the director for the Avengers Age of Ultron, will not be taking the helm again for the third Avengers installment. With this news, Marvel has been hard at work finding a worthy replacement, and it looks like they have found their men. Anthony and Joe Russo will first direct Civil War, another Marvel film, before tackling the new Avengers movie. This will be the biggest project to date and has been hinted at since the appearance of Lord Thanos in the post-credits scene of the Avengers.
That's all the time we have for today, folks. So until next time, peace and long life.
May the force be with you.
And remember, Entertainment Geekly will be back.
What's happening in the world of sports? Reporters Christian Bouchard and Michael Hugel tell us all about it in Sports Talk.
Hello and welcome to MediaPlex Sports Talk. I'm Michael Hugel.
And I'm Christian Bouchard.
The Windsor Express split the first two games of the NBL Central Divisional Finals with the Brampton A's this past weekend. And it was a tale of two different Express teams. Windsor in the first game came out flat against the A's. They fell behind early, eventually losing 99-97. However, a 48-point first quarter on Saturday held them secure a 105-93 victory.
Tony Bennett bounced back from a 7-point performance on Saturday, Mike, and went on to net 13 points in just under 2 minutes to start the game. However, tension started to consume the A's. After the game, Mike, assistant coach Paul McKeskey got tangled up with a few spectators.
Pardon my cliche, but cooler heads would prevail. However, both teams will look to get a leg up as the series now goes to the Athlete Institute in Orangeville for Game 3 on Wednesday night.
Mike, the Final Four of the Ontario Hockey Association Schmaltz Cup have been announced. The Essex 73s will now take on the Ayr Centennials after sweeping the Exeter Hawks to advance. Matthew Abad does lead the 73s with 7 points in the playoffs. Game 1 is scheduled for tonight in Essex at 7:30 p.m.
The University of Windsor Lancers Awards Banquet will be held tomorrow at the St. Clair Center for the Arts. The event begins at 6:30 with dinner and awards to follow.
Very interesting to see how the UOW will recognize both the women's basketball team and the track and field program, who both brought home CIS gold.
Needless to say, a lot of gold will be presented at the affair. Well, that does it for us, folks.
I'm Christian Bouchard.
And I'm Michael Hugel, giving it back to the news desk.
Reporter Christian Bouchard also sat down with Brett Hickey, the forward for the Toronto Rock, in this episode of 3 Minutes With.
Hi, I'm Christian Bouchard, and today I'm sitting down with forward of the Toronto Rock, Brett Hickey. Brett, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So if you don't mind, just let everyone know how you first started playing the game of lacrosse.
Well, just like any other kid, my parents, threw me in a bunch of sports as a young kid, and I think my first summer playing lacrosse, I was 4 years old and was also playing t-ball, and lacrosse is the one that stuck, and it's kind of been hockey and lacrosse all growing up, and that's kind of how I got into it, and I stayed in it. So I loved it that much, where it was all I really did.
You had a great junior B lacrosse career. Started off at just a tender age of 15, and it seems like ever since you just absolutely no problem scoring goals. Matter of fact, 146 games, racked up 418 points. Phenomenal. So looking back on that, what led you to that kind of success?
I had a lot of good mentors growing up. Starting at a young age, you're around 20, 21-year-old men, and that plays a huge role on a young kid, and those guys shaped my career kind of thing. So a lot of the guys that were on that team still talk to me today, and it kind of just stemmed from being around that environment for 6 years. Now a lot of guys get to spend 6 years with the same program or the same junior team. You move up or move down, or you kind of move on or kind of thing. But I was lucky enough to spend 6 years in my hometown playing for my hometown team, and ended up leading to some success. I had some great players around me. It's if you get that, you have that kind of success, other guys are doing their job too, right?
So currently you're playing with the Toronto Rock, leading goal scorer for the team. Just describe what it feels like to kind of live that dream and not only play for the team that you loved growing up, but being one of the better players, and now kids are looking up to you and as a role model and stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely, like you said, it's a dream come true, right? It's talk about any sport. If you're a tennis player, if you're a basketball player, you grew up watching a team and following certain players, and I'm able to live that. For me, it was lacrosse, and I grew up watching the Colin Doyles and Josh Sandersons, and watching the Toronto Rock as a young kid, and that's who I get to play with.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. Guys, Brett will return back home this Friday, take on the Roughnecks. So thank you. I've been your host, Christian Bouchard, and this has been 3 Minutes with forward of the Toronto Rock, Brett Hickey.
Kelly Branton has been labeled the strongest man in Canada. The powerlifter is competing in Salo, Finland this June.
I'm about winning. I want to win, so I'll do whatever it takes to win. I think about it when I wake up. I think about it when I'm watching a movie. "30 seconds when I'm at World where you're actually lifting the weights. When you stand just like 3 inches higher than another guy, and you get a medal, that's what it's all about." I plan on doing this probably like till I'm dead.
Since comic books have become so popular worldwide, it's no surprise that the business is also booming in Windsor. Chris Mayu sat down with Tony Gray, a local comic book artist and writer, to give us a demonstration.
Hi, I'm Chris Mayu, and with me today is Tony Gray, creator of The Incredible Conduit. Now, Tony, what are you going to draw for us today?
Well, what I'm going to do is what I normally do at conventions. People come up and they need quick sketches, so we do head sketches. One of the other characters I draw, of course, is Spider-Man, so I've got that down pretty fast. So anyone that comes up within about 2 minutes, and in this case it'll be 1 minute, I'll be able to get a Spider-Man head down from, and then from there I can show you what a finished page looks like and the process that we go through to get the final page done and printed.
Okay. All right, well, let's get started.
Let's go. So the first thing that I always do, I set up quickly with a rough pencil sketch, get the rough shape of the head, and it's not quite an oval, but if we're dealing with Spider-Man, he's got a longer face, his jaw's not quite as squared off as, say, a Batman, and then we're dealing with a couple of the almost like a diamond-shaped eyes here. So we start out with this kind of thing. The conduit is not completely dissimilar to this either, but then what I do is I start moving in, and I almost think of Spider-Man's webbing as building his face. So I drop these web lines in quickly, and then where his nose might be, I drop a web line in. Where his mouth might be, there's a web line in there. and you just keep going from there, and it's almost connect the dots from there. Now this is the quick pencil layout that I do. The next step is to pull out the black ink and tighten this up. And I would do that with a black ink marker, or most of the time I'm actually doing this with brushes because you get a more variated line. But for convention sketches, this works out fine. And go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, when it comes to drawing Spider-Man, who do you take your main influence from? Like, in like the design for like the facial features and all that?
My favorite Spider-Man artist was the artist that that drew him when I was growing up, and I think that's how it is for most people. He was a gentleman named John Romita. He's pretty much known as the seminal Spider-Man artist after, let's say, Steve Ditko who was the co-creator with Stan Lee. So with and then for larger areas, pull out a larger pen or a brush and tighten this up. John Romita ended up becoming the art director at Marvel through the 70s and early 80s, and I've met him a few times. So he's basically done the stuff that if you have a T-shirt that was put out, if you pick him up at Old Navy, he's probably the guy that did the T-shirt. So here we go. We're tightening it up, and then we've got a rough Spider-Man sketch. Now, the way it works for a page, it's a little bit different because we're doing panel layouts. But this is basically your Spider-Man head that I would give out at a convention. Bang, done. Cool. If we move on, because I know we're going fast, if we have a finished penciled page, it would end up looking something like this. Now, I'm not sure how well you can see this, but the process is exactly the same at this point. I go back in over top of the pencils and start adding lines. Now, I don't do it as rushed as this. I'm a little bit tighter on these lines because these are pages that are going to print in comic books, so they have to be a little bit tighter. Convention sketches tend to be a lot looser because I'm not getting paid as much to do them, so there it is.
So, I know it's a big personal favorite, the old school look. Is that your favorite costume, though, out of all the designs?
Of Spider-Man costumes or costumes overall?
Out of Spider-Man costumes in general.
Yeah, I really enjoy the John Romita classic Spider-Man costume. I'm a traditionalist with comic books, and I know they're just comic books, but when you're growing up, these things are really important to you. I grew up and I learned how to read from comic books. So that being said, these are the ones that hold their place in your heart, and I'm sure everybody who read comic books as a kid, their favorites is the stuff and done by the artist that was on the books at the time that they were reading them.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we're running low on time. Do you want to give us an example of how it looks once it's finished?
Sure. Now this one is a page that was already set up, and if you end up taking a look, here's the pencil, and this is how it ends up looking finished and inked. There's another quick step to that. Well, not quick step. It goes to a colorist, and you would end up getting something like this at the end. That's what ends up publishing. That's comic books.
All right. Well, thank you for being here, Tony. I've been Chris Mayhew, and with me, my guest, Tony Gray.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for tuning in tonight. I'm Ashley Ann Mentley, and this is MediaPlex News Now.
MediaPlex News Now is a production of the St. Clair College Journalism Program.